Just WWE giving us a bunch of filler feuds before WrestleMania. I don't want to burst your bubble, so everybody calm down. Let's give each other big old hugs, even though what we're doing now is super weird. Yes. Have they done this before? Yes. Have they done it again? Is it okay? Yes. That's what we're going to get into today. So funny. I posted a clip on my social media earlier, simonmillermedia, what a nerd I am, saying I'll take Finn Balor versus CM Punk as my feud before WrestleMania. Some of the replies, I can see you're very mad. I understand. I feel you. I'm here for you. I'll do whatever I can. Let's get into it. Let's talk about Raw. Thank you for joining me. My name is Simon Miller. I'm a bald idiot that talks about wrestling and does wrestling. Don't ask me. I don't know. But if you could like the video, share the video, and subscribe, and just interact as much as possible, you'd make my day. Let's talk Raw. Because, yeah, CM Punk was meant to have an interview. Instead, Finn Balor came out after Dominic had said, why don't you wait for JD McDonough to come back? And you could be the tag team champions instead. I understood. I felt Finn Balor here. I was like, they're not listening to you, Finn, and maybe need to leave the Judgment Day. But he takes over CM Punk's time and basically says, I want a rematch. You beat me in my hometown. The Elimination Chamber's in your hometown. Why don't I beat you there? CM Punk comes out. They get into a big tit for tit, tet for tat. We've said it now. No going back. And Adam Pearce is like, no, damn it. I don't want to put my WrestleMania main event in jeopardy, Roman Reigns versus Punk. But because they said Geek's title shot a lot, Adam Pearce went, you know what? I have no resolve whatsoever, and you can do it. Happens a lot. So again, everyone in WWE, AJ Lee did it on this show as well. She asked for a title shot and she got it. No justification whatsoever. It tickles me. I'm not massively bothered, but if you want me to put my geek hat on, yes, it's absolutely ridiculous, and I think wrestling companies use that way too much, but I don't mind it, and I don't mind it for two different reasons. The first of which, this is probably going to take up my main point, is that is a professional wrestler's job, right? We talk about it all the time, especially over on What Culture Ups and Downs. Check out my reviews that I freelance for them for every single wrestling show that does happen. A wrestler's job essentially is to make you believe before a match, well, maybe they can lose and maybe they can win. And I'm sure if you're listening to lots of podcasts and stuff, many people you'll hear say that match didn't have much heat because everybody knew what was going to happen. So you can't do it every single time, right? And sometimes it's impossible. Sometimes you need to do the obvious because otherwise, what the flub are we doing? It's like when you go see a rom-com. It's my boring comparison. Sometimes you just want the two leads to get together and have a family or whatever the flub they're going to do because you sat down to watch a romantic comedy. So if I can't even remember the last squash match I saw, but a big super duper whooper star versus person you never heard of course big super whooper star is going to win. We're trying to build them, whereas the other person has just been brought in to lose. That's their responsibility. That's their job. And it's good. It's important. You need so many people in wrestling to make this stuff work. You need the lighting people, the ring people, the commentators, etc., etc. So now, given that people have said, well, obviously CM Punk's not going to lose before WrestleMania, the two things that they need to do is, one, convince you that Finn Balor is able to win the championship, and two, if not, is it going to be a triple threat? Now, as we sit here talking about it, do I think either of those two things are going to happen? Absolutely not. But when I watch wrestling and I go into wrestling world and I switch on my wrestling brain, could there potentially be an environment where I do believe that? I believe yes. Because CM Punk is one of the best wrestlers in the world. Finn Balor is one of the best wrestlers in the world. Finn Balor does not get the respect on his name that he deserves and how much he's contributed to the modern generation, especially around about 10 years ago. You can read about him and hear about all the things that he was getting up to, but we've only just kickstarted off this, and I understand the Elimination Chamber isn't that far away, but we do have social media and we do have one more episode of Raw, so that's what I expect them to do. And if they don't do it, then absolutely we can come together and say, well, that totally sucked, but I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater now, especially because what CM Punk does do very well is every single program he is involved with, he makes it feel important. He wants to be a fighting champion. He's not trying to jeopardize anything. He's trying to build his legacy so he can stick it down Roman Reigns' throat. And the other point to this is that I do think there's something that you can do that turns Finn Balor babyface, finally gives us an Intercontinental title program, and ends the Judgment Day. And we need to do all of these things. And I like the Judgment Day, right? But sometimes we just get to the end of things. It's natural, it happens, and I think it's definitely time, especially with the position Liv Morgan is in and how she's pissed off Raquel Rodriguez, that we do throw them all over the place. But Dominic Mysterio, you could argue, was very dismissive of Finn Balor's feelings, and Finn Balor was annoyed with him. We've been teasing that story for over a year, so I think Dominic Mysterio can probably cost CM Punk at the Elimination Chamber, but no more teasing, no more I don't know what I'm going to do. Finn Balor goes back babyface, which is what people want now anyway, and he wins the Intercontinental Championship. That was one big glaring thing when we had the Liv Morgan segment last night, and I understand that Dom's been injured for the better part of 2025, but it's not like we were lighting the world on fire with the IC Championship before then, and if that is the end game of this, Finn Balor Balor versus Dominic at WrestleMania and Finn Balor wins, that's awesome. That is great. He'll come back to his entrance to do his blah thing that people always enjoy. We saw that just a couple of weeks ago. To me, that's a nice walking point to WrestleMania. So I certainly wouldn't call it a filler feud. I would call it a feud that we planted there because it's going to help CM Punk feel like a bigger deal before he takes on Roman Reigns, the biggest challenge of his career. And it's going to kickstart this Judgment Day ending and Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor. So it makes all the sense in the world. And if you do want emotional stakes in programs, what a great way to sell it. Oh my gosh, Finn Balor was going to win. And that stupid mullet Dominic Mysterio totally ruined it. So I like this. And also, I had a few messages, people going, Finn Balor deserves more than this. What Finn Balor has been doing for the last year isn't of this bracket because he's still going to be in a world title picture. And that alone, from a perception point of view, tells you they're doing more with him. Now, I think people are being way too disparaging about Finn Balor here. Ever since he has gone heel and became the sort of leader of the Judgment Day, not really, that dude has been hilarious. He has been such a troll. And when all those problems were happening, he was laughing in the background. I understand he hasn't been used as a super duper whooper main event guy, but what he was doing was contributing to the show. And now I'm hoping in 2026, we can build the show around him a little bit more. Him as the Intercontinental Champion, having badass matches is good. Look what Sami Zayn did the latter part of last year. Everybody enjoyed that. And we can actually get to a point when finally, my gosh, the IC belt and the US belt are at equal pegging. At the moment, it goes like this. When the IC title is good, the US title sucks. Now the US title would come out of Hayes. He's being awesome. And the IC one has absolutely vanished. It doesn't hurt Dominic Mysterio. He's too good at wrestling. He understands his character too well. He'll be able to do anything, Dominic Mysterio, in his career because his head's screwed on too well, which is actually very similar to Finn Balor. So I liked all of this. I thought Finn Balor and CM Punk were very, very good. I don't like Michael Cole. It's not his fault. He's been told to say this, being like, oh my gosh, Roman Reigns, CM Punk is the biggest WrestleMania event of all time. Let me get to that by myself. I understand it's wrestling, it's hyperbole, and it's promotion, but he said it like it was a statement of fact. It's different if it's in a video, like, the greatest WrestleMania main event of all time. Oh yeah, here we go. Don't gaslight me. That's way too strong. But absolutely, that's one of the things I do dislike about pro wrestling. Let me feel how I'm going to feel. Once again, it's on Roman Reigns and CM Punk to get me there, not for someone to just tell me and make me just pretend like we did the greatest wrestling match of all time between Edge and Randy Orton. Even those guys have said that was absolutely stupid, but I don't mind this. Roman Reigns is not coming back till March, which actually isn't a problem either because absence does make the heart grow fonder. He'll feel like a bigger star. They did an all-timer promo segment last week. Finn Balor slots in here. I could be totally wrong, right? I have egg on my face, which is fine, extra protein. But we then move on to whatever we're going to do with Finn and Dom. We end the Judgment Day. Liv Morgan probably becomes a champion too, and they all separate off. I can see us doing a Liv Morgan versus Raquel Rodriguez feud post-WrestleMania. Don't know why Roxanne Perez wasn't on Raw. I hope she is okay, so it's totally fine. I'm not going to worry about it. And we had another change as well. We won't talk about it long because we did a video on it yesterday, but Bron Breakker has been confirmed out with a hernia. Most just hope that he's okay. The biggest tease here for me is that Logan Paul got an Adam Pearce's face. So I presume whatever we were going to do with Bron Breakker has now been passed along to Logan Paul. If it's going to be a match, I think Adam Pearce should win. We'll talk about that on a different video. Ties into the main event. Thank goodness LA Knight won his Elimination Chamber qualifier. Can you imagine if he hadn't? The meltdown people would have had on the internet. They couldn't handle Jey Uso winning a super kick this week. I'll talk about it in just 1 second. It was good. I don't know what we're doing with Penta. A bit worried about Penta. Feels lost in the shuffle and he shouldn't be because he's absolutely awesome. And Austin Theory, listen, that's just how they're going to use him now. They've accepted it. He's still a pivotal part of the story because, of course, he gets knocked to the outside. The Masked Man returned, and it can't be, well, it could be, but the way it's been portrayed to us is that Logan Paul and Bronson Reed get kicked out after Bronson Reed had done a tsunami. So funny. In the middle of the match. But they chased the Masked Man away because at first I was like, well, surprise. Logan Paul's just been chased away from ringside, but then he was back. I thought he was going to do a quick costume change, but no. I don't actually think this is meant to be a ruse. I just think it's meant to be Seth Rollins, and WWE doesn't know when he's going to be physically good to go again. So they're just using him as and when to build the story. Unless he's going to do that weird thing where me and Austin Theory deliberately screwed over Austin Theory to doubly trick you, which is what we did back at Survivor Series 1998 when The Rock dropped the people's elbow or the corporate elbow, whichever one it was. So it was the people's elbow on Vince McMahon before they became the corporation. There was always the big black hole, or the plot hole, I should say, with that story. But you can get away with it as long as there's some logic to it. But now I just think whenever Seth Rollins gets cleared, he can go, ta-da, and he can get into a feud with the Vision. Again, we talked about that a lot yesterday. But LA Knight winning is good. He's not going to win the Elimination Chamber. If you put a gun to my head, I have absolutely no idea what he's going to do. at WrestleMania, which is a bit worrying. He cut a big rah-rah promo afterwards. I think people may have read into that a little bit too much. It's like, we have to rise, otherwise I don't know what's around the corner. I think he's just trying to, get you all bubbled up inside, which is an important thing to do. The match was probably fine, though. I enjoyed it for what it was. So it's now him and Randy Orton, but I think we all kind of figure that Cody Rhodes is going to win the Chamber. Also made me look stupid, because I said in a video recently that I thought most people in the Chamber this year would just be SmackDown guys. So what do I know? I guess LA Knight would just go back to SmackDown if he won the Chamber. But I'm a moron and I shouldn't be allowed to say things out loud, so please do forgive me. But good main event. LA Knight winning was important. And yes, we've reshuffled the deck with divisions, so now that Logan Paul is filling in for that Bron Breakker role, which is fine. I don't mind. They probably do need a new member if Bron Breakker is going to be out indefinitely. The term indefinitely in WWE can mean 2 weeks and it can mean 12 months. Hopefully it's nowhere near any of that, or 2 weeks would be much better, but I presume it will be longer. I would love Bron Breakker to make WrestleMania. That's not as important as being a well, healthy, happy human. Same for Seth Rollins. I think he should take his time as well. But you can see what we're doing here. Quite clearly, it's building to something big with him and Adam Pearce, hence why they don't want to leave it alone. LA Knight winning is good. The Masked Man is back. You do have to ask the question why Adam Pearce doesn't have Masked Man security. This has been going on for years now, and nobody has changed it. But I'm going to get rid of all my other sort of stupid fantasy predictions. I think it is just going to be Seth Rollins. He will then feud with the Vision, but he does need a friend. I guess Austin Theory could still be his friend. Now that Bron Breakker is out, I'm going to presume he's not his friend. I'll just talk about that tag team match before I forget, because again, it took over my social media feed. Otis went to do the Caterpillar, because it was the Usos taking on Alpha Academy, and Jey Uso missed a super kick. I mean, a big man was doing this, so you have to time it quite right. You're allowed to have whatever opinion you want, but just from my vantage point as a man that does wrestle, shout out to Insane Championship Wrestling ICW in Scotland for having me there on Sunday. Good grief did I have a good time, so check them out and check out the whole thing. Check out the Square Go, the Rumble. It's on Triller TV right now. But, it's hard wrestling sometimes. And sometimes a match goes great and you don't know why, and sometimes a match falls apart and you don't go why. And of course you'll now say to me, but Simon, Jey Uso botches all the time. No, he doesn't. He doesn't botch that much. I hate the term botch. I regret saying it. You're thinking back to that dive, and yes, sometimes in matches things go awry. I just think you're watching out for it more. And actually, if you sat down there and watched most wrestling matches through a fine-tooth comb, unless you're someone that is super-duper skilled, and they do exist in this world, it actually happens in every single match. It's about how you cover it up, right? I'm just saying, it didn't matter at all. I'm more concerned about what we are doing with these tag team titles. Fun match, and I enjoyed it. Of course, the Usos won. Tozawa looked great. Let's try and utilize that if we can. But afterwards, Jimmy says, man, Jey, now you got to enter the Elimination Chamber and win the belt. Now, I think this could be tying into a bigger story. We thought it was weird that Jey Uso can't just jump back into the tag division. But now those belts are going to be on ice again for a long old time, so that sucks. I would like to do more with those, but I like Jey Uso. I'm not even going to pretend otherwise. Not that I ever tiptoe around this stuff, but I enjoy him for who he is. I don't sit down there with a checklist and go, oh, I didn't make an error, and he didn't do an arm drag takeover the right way or whatever. Is there such thing as an arm drag takeover? I presume so. I just watch and go, did I enjoy it? Someone said this to me the other day, as we go on a tangent. I did a Q&A, which I do on social media. I was stuck at an airport, and someone said, why do you prefer WWE over AEW? And this was based on the fact they added up some ups and downs counters I had done, which is beyond belief. What are you going to do? I just appreciate that you care. I don't prefer either of them, and I genuinely mean that from the bottom of my tootsie toes. I'm not a WWE guy. I'm not an AEW guy. On certain weeks, I can be, if WWE does something that I really enjoy and I felt like I resonated with that. But on the next week, I could be an AEW guy if AEW does something and I resonate with it. Sometimes I can be a AEW guy, right? I all base it on the show, and I base it on how I'm feeling. Because you could do something on one episode of Raw that I love, and then you could do the same thing on an episode of Raw a year later, and I don't like it because I've evolved as a person, or I had a bad night's sleep, or I'm in the best mood of my life. It all depends on what my brain wants from an entertainment value point that day. It doesn't make me right or wrong. It doesn't make you right or wrong. You are going to enjoy things, and sometimes I will enjoy things that you don't enjoy. That's the same with television shows. Sometimes you can watch a TV series and watch a finale and go, that sucks. Then you rewatch it in 6 months' time, like it's the best thing ever, because you have new information in your brain. There surely has to be a movie out there that is very focused on being a dad or being a mum or having a family or having kids. And you can watch that before you have children and not get it, and then watch it after you've had children, they've grown up, like, I'm so sad, right? That has to be a thing. I remember when my grandma passed away. She was my first sort of person that I really lost in my life, was sort of 10, 15 years ago, whenever. And my grandma passed away. I was at home. I put on Up, right? If you see the start of Up, you know it was the worst movie for me to watch. But I didn't know. And if it killed me, man. Poor choice of words. But I was ruined. I was a mess. I was like a fish out of water. I don't want to continue. But if that hadn't have happened, I would have watched Up totally differently. It still would have affected me emotionally, but not in the same way. And I think that's the same with professional wrestling. So There is no AOW or WWE thingamajig with me, which is the least poetic sentence I've ever said in my life. I enjoy it on a case-by-case basis. And quite literally, this is what you get as well. Some people go, Simon, AEW did the same thing WWE did. You like one and you didn't like the other. They were different days. Now, of course, you do have to be mindful in my position to be like, you have to compare and contrast a little bit in order to be fair, but you also have to be super duper honest. And you're absolutely right. Sometimes I can have a bunch of run-ins on WWE and I don't give a damn. And sometimes the whole episode of Raw can be run-ins. I'm like, I can't handle it. It all depends because I'm a human and I change my tact, but I'll always try and tell you that and be as honest as possible. I don't even know what we're talking about anymore, but wonderfully, it does tie into Becky Lynch and AJ Lee. Love the start of it, right? CM Punk does the usual, I'm at television, so somebody should film me. And AJ Lee is with him. Becky Lynch freaked out in the background. Really good, enjoying it. Before we do get into this, I think AJ Lee is great. I think Becky Lynch is one of the best, we'll say women's wrestlers WWE's ever had. You could probably transcend that as well. I think she's awesome. I think she's proven that by now. I think her resume is right up there, especially in 2017, 18, 19, whatever it was. Biggest star in the company, bar none. But I didn't like what they did. Don't even know why. Thought it was weird that all of a sudden we're justifying IC title matches, especially because Natty threw Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble, off a War Games match and a mixed tag. Now listen, this is mega nerdy, right? But on this day, I was like, I think it just felt like a bit too easy to me. I felt like if you're going to be off television for 2 months, whatever it's been, we should try and come up with something a little bit more. That's why I thought AJ Lee should be in the Royal Rumble. Now, AJ Lee is allowed to keep whatever schedule she wants. It's nothing to do with me. But if she had thrown Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble like Natalya did, then you go, oh, I get it. So trying to say, well, I beat you in a mixed tag and War Game. If that's the case, everyone on AJ Lee's War Games team should be like, can I have an IC title match too, please? And also, there was just something about the back and forth that didn't land for me. I can't even tell you why. They were trying to be funny with it. I don't want to say cutesy, because that always sounds negative. I mean that in a positive way. They were trying to keep it sort of entertaining. And for whatever reason, I was like, no, this isn't landing with me. This isn't getting me excited for that match, which will be good, by the way. They respect each other way too much. They're too talented for it to be otherwise. But I can't actually tell you why I didn't like it. I guess it just didn't feel, not that I want it to be serious, because I'm more of a goofy wrestling for life guy, but maybe this is one of those occasions where they did need to get deep down and dirty and maybe sort of, send a few sucker punches in there. Don't mind it being in Chicago Elimination Chamber because AJ Lee will be massively over and Becky Lynch will be a heel. I also think you can have Becky Lynch win there and then you do the big championship win for AJ Lee at WrestleMania. That's fine. It could even potentially be a stipulation match. But given how Raw started, I was a bit like, oh, okay. Well, not necessarily that I was expecting that. But then you got to the triple threat match with Rhea Ripley, Lyra Valkyria and Ivy Nile. And again, I was kind of 50-50. Yes, they had the electric chair spot where Ivy Nile was essentially going to close on Lyra Valkyria and Rhea Ripley went down early. I think Rhea Ripley has proven she's pretty good in the ring. So something just went awry there, as it does happen. I had no problem with Rhea Ripley winning. I thought that was to be expected. Confused Ivy Nile was in it because she just comes and goes and usually she loses. So where's the justification? I don't know what we're doing with Lyra Valkyria. Bayley and Lyra did cut, or Bayley mostly cut a fire promo later on, I think for the Netflix audience. And she's going to be in a qualifier. I think she will lose. Then I think they're going to gel together more as a tag team. I think there may be a multi-person match for the Rio and Io Sky women's tag team titles. I think Bayley and Lyra are going to feature big in that. But we also need to light a fire under them because they do lose a lot. But again, that was a perfectly okay match. I think a lot of matches on this episode of Raw, we're likely never going to talk about again. But not everything has to be 5 stars, 6.25 stars in the Tokyo Dome for it to be worthy of your time. I would say the most entertaining match. Am I going to get this wrong? I think it was Siobhan Evans and El Grande Americano OG versus El Grande Americano 2 and El Grande Americano 3. That, of course, is Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. An awesome spot when Javon Evans nailed that cutter after Rio, I think it is, went for a flying nothing. I mean, it was so good. The timing of it was exquisite. Even if you'd been a second off, it would have looked absolutely awful. So more power to those guys. But this is nonsense. Let me just try and explain it, right? So Javon Evans is taken on 2 and 3. I just call them for now. He has a mystery partner that is the OG Americano that they're calling him. Then they win after Chad Gable, who is the original El Grande Americano, hits a flying headbutt onto the other one, Bravo, when the fake El Grande Americano, who's more over in Mexico than the original one, runs in, tries to unmask them, but the good guys then chase them off. Imagine trying to explain it to someone that's watched wrestling. Be like, you know what, I'm good. I have other things I want to do with my life. But you watch it in person, Javon Evans is just awesome. I love that guy. And Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne, and Ludwig Kaiser are playing this wonderfully. As done as the gimmick is, and as many issues as WWE has had with it, I can't help but smile about it. So this just goes to show, this shouldn't be working on paper, but it absolutely does. And I can't even tell why, especially because a lot of them are fake. Some people got the Netflix promo as well, when Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne did, like, they're actually luchadors. It's the funniest thing ever because it's kind of terrible, but also somehow quite good. I don't know how they did it, but it just goes to show you can have a roller coaster of emotions and you never know where you're going to end up. But I thought this was good. I enjoyed myself, and actually the only other real eyebrow raising moment I had came with the two big guys. That's really not a problem because I don't know if Gunther is in a qualifying match. I may have made a mistake here, so forgive me. But I don't think Oba Femi is in one because he just had a video. And I wouldn't put Gunther in it unless he's going to win it, and he's not because I think Cody Rhodes is going to win it. So I think WWE has kind of not hit pause on them, but they're making sure they feature on the show, just not in a large way, so that we can get past this pay-per-view. So I presume that goes back to the title of this video. That is absolutely filler. Like Oba Femi, I thought the segment on SmackDown was fantastic. Kit Wilson smashed it. What a dude. Oba Femi, absolutely incredible. Should be every champion under the sun. And Gunther I don't care what you say about him right now. He has the aura, to use the 2026 word, given that he's just retired 3 legends. It needs to be huge. I think it's going to be Oba versus Brock. So once again, I put Gunther in the LA Knight position. I don't know what he's going to do, but that's why I wouldn't have put him in the Royal Rumble. If he's not winning anything, don't put him in it. Figure out something else to do. So we'll wait and see with those two guys. But of course, I want to see more with them because Gunther is great and he is on a tear. And Oba Femi is my favourite wrestler right now. I've decided that. I've got a video going up soon, like who is actually my 10 favourite wrestlers right now. Huge spoiler, he's number 1. At first, I was like, how do I put him there just for like lols? No, he's my guy. We did a video about who is your guy like 6 months ago. Find it on the channel. I'll try and remember to post it if I can. But for sometimes you just gravitate towards someone like on a transporter. No, you gravitate towards people. I think Oba Femi is excellent. And if he faces Brock Lesnar and doesn't beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, I'm going to make one of my very few, you've made a mistake here, WWE. Not that I have to worry about what I have to say. I mean, who am I, right? I'm some weird blip on their radar. But I'll be flabbergasted because they have everything there and Brock Lesnar is coming to the end of his tenure, whereas Oba Femi could be a main event guy for the next 10 years. Either way, I think that was mostly what happened on Raw. I've probably forgotten something because I often do, but they are my major takeaways. And I don't mind CM Punk versus Finn Balor. I really don't. I don't think it's a waste. I think they are of such high professional quality. They will figure this out. And I bet they're chomping at the bit to do it because, again, if you're good at your job, you want to prove that you're good at the job. Actually quite excited to see what happens with Adam Pearce in the Vision. I think we've leaned into this way too hard for it not to be a thing, so I'm excited about that too. Fine with Rhea Ripley being in the Elimination Chamber. People are always going to complain about that. And yeah, Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee didn't do it for me, but the Grande Americano stuff was super duper whooper good fun. Now, as always, I can say all this stuff, but it's much more important what you think, so drop me a comment below. I'd love to hear your opinions, and as always, you can say whatever you want. I'm a big old boy, I got a thick old skin, and people have said worse. When you are down there, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click that video on the screen to get all my thoughts about the Bron Breakker injury and how it could turn into WrestleMania 42. The good news is, after WrestleMania 42, a lot of what I did predict could come true, so that is nice. Otherwise, patreon.com/Simon316 to support me there. Grenamine.com/Simon. They just had a big restock. User code Simon. It ships worldwide. Money off all the time. Sometimes up to like 35%, if not more. These are good supplements. I use them, otherwise I wouldn't promote them. That is just how I roll. Simon316, so come and call me an idiot on social media, and then it is TikTok, it is Cameo, and it's Pro Wrestling Tees. Check out my TikTok later today for my producing wrestling promos badly. There's going to be a lot this week, because I realize people just want content spammed on TikTok, so I'd appreciate the support. Just ignore the ones you don't like. Otherwise, my friends, have a lovely day, and I'll see you tomorrow.